Top of the morning and welcome to your Sunrise Companion, the press, where every story begins with a purpose and every voice matters. I am your host, Princess Ekeze Okoli. I'll be walking you through the headlines today and, of course, weather updates as they grace our front screen this morning. Well, it's a brand new day, it's fresh, and it's full of so many potential. Are you ready for what today brings? I guess the answer is for you to respond to. Well, every day gives us an opportunity to either start or continue what we weren't able to finish the previous day. Welcome to another brand new day. Today is Wednesday, the 16th day of July 2025. And as always, we're going to begin with weather updates to tell you what the weather is going to look like today as you go about your legitimate duties. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to be starting from the southeast, and I will be going to the city of Enugu State, where it is boasting of 23 degrees Celsius. It's cloudy with a high of 28 degrees and a low of 22 degrees Celsius. Now, cloudy conditions will continue all day. Wind gusts are up to 21 kilometers per hour. Still in the southeast, let's now move to Imo State, where it is boosting of 23 degrees Celsius. It's mostly cloudy with a high of 29 degrees and a low of 23 degrees Celsius. Sort of a twin weather condition, if you ask me. Well, weather conditions are actually expected around 1700 hours today, with wind gusts up to 13 kilometers per hour. So, if you're in the city of Enugu or Imo, it means that if you're going to be out for till late in the evening, you should go out with an umbrella. Let's move away from the southeast and then to the south. Let's look at Benin City. Benin City is also boasting of 23 degrees Celsius with a high of 29 degrees and a low of 22 degrees Celsius. It's mostly cloudy as well, and rainy conditions are expected around 1600 hours. Wind gusts are up to 11 kilometers per hour. That's in the city of Benin. Still in the south region, let's look at Port Harcourt. Port Harcourt is also boasting of 23 degrees Celsius. It's cloudy as it is. It's boasting of a high of 28 degrees and a low of 23 degrees Celsius. Rainy conditions are expected around 1400 hours this afternoon, with wind gusts up to 14 kilometers per hour. So if you're around the environs of southeast, south, just gear up for some rains later in the day. Okay, I'm still in the south. Let me go over to Ondo in the southwest. Ondo is boasting of 22 degrees Celsius. It's cloudy with a high of 27 degrees Celsius and a low of 22 degrees Celsius. Now, rainy conditions are expected around 1700 hours, with wind gusts up to 15 kilometers per hour. All right, before I move away from the southwest, let's look at Lagos. Lagos is boasting of 25 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy as well, with a high of 28 degrees and a low of 24 degrees Celsius. Now, cloudy conditions will continue all day. Wind gusts are up to 22 kilometers per hour. All right, and that's that for the southwest. Now, let's go to the north. Let's look at some parts of North Central and, of course, Northeast. Let me start with Jos. We have Jos boasting of 19 degrees Celsius, which is mostly cloudy with a high of 25 degrees Celsius and a low of 18 degrees Celsius. Now, rainy conditions are expected around 1600 hours, with wind gusts up to 32 kilometers per hour. All right, in the city of Kaduna, we have the weather condition boasting of 22 degrees Celsius, which is mostly cloudy, a high 28 degrees and a low of 21 degrees Celsius. It's partly cloudy, and partly cloudy conditions are expected around 1400 hours. Wind gusts are up to 28 degrees Celsius. Now, the city of Kano is boasting of 24 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy with a high of 31 degrees and a low of 23 degrees Celsius. The sun is quite high this morning in the city of Kano, but partly conditions or cloudy conditions are expected around 1700 hours, with wind gusts up to 31 degrees Celsius, 31 kilometers rather per hour. All right, so that's that in in Kano. Let's go to the northeast in Maiduguri. We have the weather condition boosting of 24 degrees Celsius. It's cloudy presently with a high of 30 degrees and a low of 24 degrees Celsius. Now, rainy conditions are expected around 8 o'clock this morning, so it's possible it's already raining in the city of Maiduguri. Wind gusts are up to 32 kilometers per hour. All right, and that brings us back to this, the nation's capital, Abuja, here, where our studio is. Abuja is boasting of 22 degrees Celsius. It's mostly cloudy with a high of 28 degrees Celsius and a low of 22 degrees Celsius. Now, partly cloudy conditions are expected around 1400 hours with wind gusts up to 15 kilometers per hour. All right, so that's that in the city of Abuja. And with that, I will bring a halt to weather update today. So whether you are in the northeast, north central, whether you're in the southeast, south, or southwest, I think you should just go out with an umbrella just to be safe, okay? Because yes, we're in the peak of the rainy season and the rains could just meet you anywhere. All right, with that said, let's go to see what the headlines are saying this morning. Well, if your guess is about what happened yesterday, and I mean the burial of the late president, then your guess is as good as mine. Let's look at what the dailies are saying this morning. I'm going to start with Daily Trust newspaper. Now, Daily Trust newspaper says, the biggest one, you could see there are lots of pictures on that front page, but the biggest headline there says, How Buhari was honored, buried. You find that story on page 3, 4, page 6, 16, 11, and 17. And that is what we're going to see in mostly all the papers because, yes, the event was just yesterday. I don't know if you noticed, the whole of Abuja was emptied. So many dignitaries were attended the final rite of the late president. Okay, so still in the Daily Trust, we have APC Education and the Digital Future. This is by the governor of Imo State. He said, if progressive policies are the engine of change, then education and digital economy represent the fuel that will drive Nigeria into the future. Over the past 10 years, our administration understood that the employer, that to empower the next generation, we must provide not only access to education, but also the skills and infrastructure for thriving in a 21st century digital world. All right, so that's the governor of Uzodinma. If you want to read further on what he's saying there, you will find that story on page 20 of the Daily Trust. Let's go to Blueprint. The Blueprint. We have the first there saying tax force impounds 280 motorcycles, Kekena Pep in FCT. Page 6 is where you find our story. And there's a sport news here. It says, WAFCON, Super Falcons better than Zambia, Demihian says. Again, gunmen attack Plateau community, kill 27, scores injured. These are really stories we don't want to be hearing each day, but they keep coming. Now, the biggest headline says, Nigeria stands still as Buhari laid to rest in Daura. Some of the writers there says, Tinubu, Shatima, Guinea-Bissau, Nigerian leaders, others bid farewell. Oni of Ife, Esu Nupe, Saudi King, Crown Prince, Bemishola Saraki, Jibwes, others speak on ex-president's integrity, honesty. You find that on page 9, 14, and 15 there. Another says, let me see. Okay, I think that's that actually on the Blueprint. Let's move over to the Nigerian Tribune. The Nigerian Tribune. Gunmen kill 27, destroy farms, burn several houses in Plateau community. When are we going to hear the last of the stories in our nation? Visa overstay, respect immigration regulations of host communities, federal government tells Nigerians. That is on page 10 of the Nigerian Tribune. Dangote to wealthy Nigerians, invest in Nigeria, he says. He reviews how he built $20 billion refinery. And the biggest headline says, the Patriots all-inclusive confab begins in Abuja. The writer says, delegates says to discuss future of constitutional democracy. Plan to draft people's constitution. Page 4 is where you find the full story. for that headline. Another says you could see Sea of Heads as Buhari's state funeral in Daura features full military honors. The writer says Tinubu, Shettima, Atiku, African leaders, governors, military leaders, ministers, family, others pay last respect. You also see photos of you see the photo of the present president Tinubu there paying his last respect. You see photos of the military in their full regalia honoring the late president, and some family members by the grave of the late president. Indeed, this life is fleeting, isn't it? Let's move away from there and go to the Punch. Marketers protest as Dangote moves to crash cooking gas price. That's an interesting story there. Marketers protest as Dangote moves to crash cooking gas price. Another story says Awujale's burial frees Yoruba kings from ritual slavery. Oluwa, you find that on page 28 of the Punch. Final salute. Nigeria beats Buhari emotional farewell. The writer says Tinubu, Akpabio, service chiefs, governors pay final respect to meteors, tributes. Daura stands still as Katsina Airport records over 130 flights. And then the other writer says Oshibajo, ex-governors, joint African leaders, Saudi king, prince, mourn Buhari. Other stories you find on the Punch. Nigeria's oil output soars above OPEC quota. North Central states mobilize joint security to crush bandits. Page 26 is where you find our story. And the last story here says over 420 federal roads completed or in progress, says the federal government. All right, let's move away from the Punch and look at the Leadership newspaper this morning. And the top story there says, next Awujale to emerge after 3-month mourning. Page 19 is where you find that story. I'm heartbroken. Buhari's daughter shares her grief. Really sad one. Another story here says, rest at last. Tinubu, ex-Nigerian leader, Vice President Atiku, Oshibajo, Dangote, others pay final respect to Buhari in Daura. You also see pictures of the funeral service there. All right, away from there, you're going to see, let's move away from there and go to the Metrics newspaper. The Metrics. NNPCL, GACN, Akwa Ibom government signed $3.5 billion MOU on gas industrialization. Now, the deal says the deal signals South's commitment to driving gas industrialization for shared prosperity. All right, another story you're going to find there on the Metrics newspaper. Reduced visa validity for Nigerians. Presidency finally opens up. Decision was based on current rate of visa overstays by Nigerians. That's the federal government responding to that. Ex-APC chairman John Oyego joins ADC, blames ruling party for Nigeria's woes. Buhari laid to rest. Tears, tributes as Tinubu, Shettima, dignitaries bid ex-president farewell. Mamman Daura, we were already planning to return to Nigeria. Yes, when I read further on that story of the late president, actually, it was actually reported that he was already doing well. They were even ready. He was even ready to be discharged, and then just within a few hours, the whole thing deteriorated, and he's no more. Sad one. All right, let's look at The Guardian. The Guardian newspaper. Saudi Arabia, Moroccan king mourn Buhari praise service to Nigeria. Dangote force capital flight insists on investing in Nigeria. So on The Guardian, leaders, friends, politicians unite in stately farewell for Buhari. Lawyer bickers as IBAS inaugurate boards commissions. That story on page 27 of The Guardian. Senate declines Natasha's recall and says no binding order. Page 29 is where you find our story. Nigeria meets OPEC quota first time in 5 months, fall short of 2025 benchmark. TikTok restricts 211 million offensive videos, removes 3.6 million from Nigeria. Fresh Plateau onslaught claims 20, injures several. Those are the story you find on the Guardian newspaper this morning. All right, so on the headlines making waves this morning, let's move over to the Vanguard newspaper. The Vanguard newspaper this morning, Tinubu, some African leaders bade Buhari farewell. Some of the writers here says, ignore Buhari's 8 years in power. He was a good man. That's Kuka there saying. Says late president was a good man. Buhari's a statesman who came, saw, conquered, Sultan. Another writer says, I'll carry your memory with me, Buhari's daughter Noor. Late president goes home in blaze of glory, honor. And the last writer there says, as Afe Babalola, Mustafa, and Mami Dixon, Pentami pay tributes. Another says, I've forgiven Buhari for any infractions. Galadima there. I think he was on a live television where he spoke about that. Okay, you could see pictures of so many people that attended the burial. Tinubu at the Buhari's burial. You see the picture there? You can also see the picture by the other side where he's condoling with the family members. All right, still on the Vanguard, we're yet to receive formal communication from UAE or on revised visa policy. That's federal government. Gunmen allegedly killed 20 in Plateau night raid. Ex-APC national chair Oyegon registers with ADC in Edo. Okay, and then let me see. All right, I'm trying to see what the story is saying. Renew Tantita contract now. Niger Delta Group appeal to federal government. Okay, so let's move away from there. Let's look at the Liberty newspaper. We're going to still see some of the stories that is everywhere, which is, of course, Nigeria's bidding farewell to the former President Buhari as he was laid to rest in Daura yesterday. Power, federal government incurs 1,949 billion naira gross tariff subsidy shortfall in 2024. Ababi appeals court order mandating Natasha's recall to Senate. Gunmen killed 20 residents, raise houses in Plateau communities. We also have bandit kidnapped Nasarawa permanent secretary from residents. Kaduna, only 10% of population covered by health scheme. Buhari, remember, or rather it says, remember Buhari as a good man, not for his 8-year term, Bishop Kuka to Nigerians. Treatment in foreign hospital likely elongated Buhari's life, Femi Adesina. Okay, now I feel ashamed by the statement because it sort of points basically to the fact that our health system is nothing to write home about. For Femi Adesina to say that it was a treatment that the former president was getting abroad that actually elongated his life. So basically what he's saying is that if it weren't for them, maybe the president wouldn't have lived to this point. So what does that say about our health system? I think we should be ashamed to even say this, really. I think we should really, I don't know, the federal government should really look into. I'm going to leave this discussion for my guests to expatiate more on it, but let's move away from there. The Daily Monitor. Let's go to the Daily Monitor. All right, so we have for growth and development, Dangote urges wealthy Nigerians to invest in Nigeria. Says he defied odds to build $20 billion refinery. All right, that's Dangote appealing to his fellow, friends who are equally rich to also invest in the country, Nigeria. National Assembly assures strict legislations address infrastructure failure. Southwest doctors threaten strike over unfavorable allowances. Yeah, that's what we're still talking about, our health system. Visa row. Federal government pledges diplomatic resolution with U.S. and UAE. Benue, 107 Yelwater victims still hospitalized, government official. Buhari was not comfortable with politics, UN Deputy Scribe says. He says late ex-president gave his all in service to Nigerians, believed in the rule of law. Remains of Buhari buried in Daura amidst tears, prayers. All right, so that's that. Let me see. I still have a few more headlines to quickly share. I have the Daily Independent newspaper. Let's look at the Daily Independent. Cashew expansion drive. Investors eye 7.2 trillion naira inflow into economy. Set to reposition Nigeria's world largest producer. And another writer says target production capacity of 2 million MT by 2030. Buhari, end of an era of man with many perspective. Why UAE slammed visa restrictions on Nigerians by federal government. 17 years after spending 60 billion naira, digital switch over project still in limbo. Akwa Ibom sells $3.5 billion gas deal with NNPC, GACN. Dangote urges wealthy Nigerians invest in the country, says he defied odds to build $20 billion refinery. Under government, firm to sign MOU on establishment of oil refinery. All right, and other newspaper headline here: Tinubu bows before Buhari's remains as he is laid to rest. All right, away from that, let's look at the Daily Times. Tinubu, Shatima, governors, ministers, others bid Buhari farewell in Daura. Buhari's second tenure toughest for Southern Kaduna people, Apostle Kure says. Outrage as gunmen kill 27 in Plateau, fresh attack. Coalition or not, Obi will contest 2027 presidency, Tanko. Recalling Senator Botu Duahan not automatic, National Assembly. All right, and then the last story here on politics says, why we rejected Lagos local government polls results, PDP. Okay, so that's that. There's a bit of a business story on the Daily Times on the top of the paper. PIA delivers $16 billion investment boost, 50.8 trillion naira crew revenue for Nigeria. If you want to read further, you find out on page 12 of the Daily Times. All right, I think with that, okay, one more, and then I'll go to a bit some entertainment and sports story. Let's look at the Nigerian News Direct. The Nigerian News Direct. National mourning commences as former President Buhari laid to rest in Daura. The writer says Tinubu, Guinea-Bissau President, Niger Prime Minister, other dignitaries stamp Katsina. State honors, tight security as Oshibajo, Amechi, others bid farewell. EU mourns ex-president, condoles with Nigerian government. Citizens. Why I support 6-year single tenure for president, governors, or your speaker. London Mayor, Lagos government renew partnership to boost digital transformation. And another story says NNPC Limited, Akwa Ibom, GACN signed $3.5 billion gas agreement. And lastly, on the Nigerian News Direct, why wealthy Nigerians should invest in Nigeria despite corruption, Dangote. All right, away from that, let's look at some entertainment stories. The Metric Showbiz Gist. The story there, you see Angela Corey reveals bullet fragments still in her head from 2019. Wow. Zik Salome slams trolls over insensitive comments about his alien mother. Baba Fryo blames Two-Face Annie for failed marriage. Abuja comes alive with colorful celebration of Igbo culture. Okay, yeah, that was on Sunday. I missed it. I wasn't able to attend there. Okay, the Metric Sport is next. The Metric Sport. EPL Jordan Henderson joins Brentford on 2-year deal and transfer. Juventus lineup move for Super Eagles midfielder. We have Lamine Yamal in trouble for hiring dwarfs to perform at 18th birthday. That's quite hilarious, actually. Liverpool makes a 120 million euro approach for Newcastle's Alexander report. And lastly, the last sports story is the Punch Sport Extra, where we have Let Osimhen go. Gala fan threatens Napoli vice president over Nigerian strikers transfer. And then we have under 19 World Cup Junior, the Tigers face Hungary today. Africa Junior Athletics Championship begins in Abeokuta. We equally have Uche misses Getafe training to force EPL move. We also have Arsenal's Gyökeres chase stalls. We have Yamal faces probe over birthday party. We have Mbachu warns Falcons against social media. Zambia not a tough team, the Mayan says. Nadozie confident ahead of Copper Queens clash. We have Awoni returns to full training in the space. And finally, Juve lineup Onyedika to replace Luis. Those are the stories for all you sport lovers out there. Alright, so if you wanted to read details on some of these headlines, you can just pick up the Punch Sport Extra for more info on some of those headlines. And with that, we'll take a quick pause and go on a break. When we return, hopefully my guest will not be here live with me, but he will be joining me virtually for us to discuss some of the headlines that graced the papers this morning, being Wednesday, the 16th day of July. Stay with me. We'll be right back shortly. All right, glad to have you back on the press this morning here on Captain Television in the city of Abuja. All right, so if you're just joining, you've missed quite a lot because you missed the weather update, you missed all the paper headlines I took. But don't fret because I'm going to be going over some of them. Well, my guest was supposed to be joining me virtually, but the weekend seems to connect. So I apologize, but if he's able to join the middle of the show, beautiful. But if not, it's just you and I. Okay, so I'm going to go over some of the headlines I touched earlier. I'm going to just maybe speak a little on some of them, and then I'll open the phone lines for you to call and be part of a conversation. Yes, it is no longer news that the remains of the former president Muhammadu Buhari was interred in Daura, Katsina yesterday, with a large number of dignitaries from across the country paying their last respect to the former president. Yes, that's basically what topped the whole headlines we took this morning. So that's that. I don't think there's anything else for me to say there, but rather for his soul to rest in peace. Now, also, we have the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has directed all relevant federal agencies to address the issue raised by the United States and the United Arab Emirates in the recent changes to visa issuance policy for Nigerians. Yes, I think last week I told you about that, where the U.S. has reduced Nigeria's visa policy to 3 months as against 2 years it was, and a single entry. So the president is now directing some of the relevant agencies to address the issues raised by the United States and, of course, UAE, because UAE was also in tandem with the U.S. on that particular policy change. Now, the president specifically asked the agencies to enhance the intergovernmental cooperation and fortify systems that authenticate the identities of Nigerians seeking consular services abroad. Now, if you ask me, what should be the lasting solution to all this? Because when the U.S. sanctioned this, so many people, so many Nigerians were not okay with it, because especially so many who still want to japa and leave this country. Is not a palatable news. But then it's not even about what the news is about. I think if this issue should be addressed, we should be looking inwards on how to address some of the challenges we're having as a nation, so we don't have so many of our people leaving the country for whatever reason, either for health grants or for tourism or to seek greener pastures. We should really look inward and rebuild our nation. We have so many of these leaders going to different countries, you know, enjoying whatever it is that the country offers them. But it's sad that they do not return back here to, you know, to sort of put in place those amenities they enjoyed in other countries. We talk about electricity, infrastructure, security. Is it health? Is it job security? Is it job provision? So many things that they enjoy when they leave this country, but they do not come back to replicate them. They do not do that. So I'm going to come back to that story, but let's move away from there. Yes, it's also true that the ADC, which is the coalition party that has been formed, is still gaining some personalities joining the political party. However, though, the interim National Policy Secretary of the African Democratic Congress, Malam Bolaji Abdullahi, has asked the electorate, that is you and I, to rally around it to win the 2027 general elections. Now, they're promising that if they get in power, they're going to crush the price of petrol. They're going to, in fact, crush it drastically, if I'm going to use the word they use. And they also said that they're going to make sure that the biting hunger that Nigerians are facing is completely banished from the country. So these are the two promises they've made so far. I don't even know what to say. Do you buy into it? How do they hope to go about this? For me, I'm more rather about how do you intend to do it than telling me what you're going to do. I think it should be more of, this is how we're going to do this. This is how we're going to actualize this, so that we know if it's feasible or not. But that's the promises that the ADC are making if they are voted into power. So, all right, away from that, let me take you down to a very sad story that I don't like to see on our dailies, and that is the story coming from Plateau State, where at least 20 people were killed on Monday night in the attack by gunmen in the Bindi village. It happened in Bindi village in Tahoe district of the Riom local government area, Plateau State. Now, the assault, which also left many injured, is the latest in a series of violent incidents that plagued the state's rural communities. Just last month, we were still grappling with what happened in Plateau and, of course, in Benue State. Now, another attack. I think with that also have the coalition, the mobilization rather of joint security to crush bandits by the north central states. They're planning to mobilize joint security to crush bandits. I think it's going to be a good one if that is indeed actualized. Okay, away from that, I don't know, should I call this a cheering news? Because the president of the Dangote Group, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, has announced plans to reduce the price of liquefied petroleum gas. Just in case you don't know what that is, it means the cooking gas, the one you use to cook. Now, he has promised to start direct sales to the product to consumers should the existing distributors fail to allow the price crash in cooking gas. Now, actually, some of the marketers they were like, they're frowning at Dangote for that statement. Why would the price of petroleum gas be crashed? And they asked me, what is Nigeria's problem? How is it that some persons in certain places are more interested at their own gain than at the well-being of Nigerians? Now, Dangote has said that if they fail to crash the price, that is going to start direct sales to consumers. So it means that you and I can just go to Dangote's depot directly and buy gas at a reduced price. I think it's a good one. I really hope that nothing sabotages and it comes to fruition, because it's really going to be helpful to a lot of Nigerians. Now, while that is on, Dangote has also asked his fellow wealthy Nigerians to also invest in the country, just as he did with the $20 billion refinery he built just recently. He's asking that other wealthy Nigerians should also invest, and by them investing, is going to boost the economy, is going to create jobs, is going to better the lots of Nigerians. So I do hope that they heed to his call of service and abide by it. Okay, another story that trended will be that of the okay, let me just leave that. Let's talk about let me come back to the story that I found that sort of pissed me off a bit when I read about it. I'm talking about Femi Adesina's statement saying that the treatment in foreign hospital likely elongated Buhari's life. And that brings me back to our health system. We have a report in Kaduna saying that only 10% of population are covered by health scheme. 10% of an entire state are the only ones covered. We're also having a looming strike in the southwest of the country because of this same health condition by doctors. Now, it brings us back to the question, how long are we going to continue this? We have people who are well-to-do, who can afford it. Whenever they're ill, they leave the country to seek for medical attention. And then the rest of us who cannot afford it are now left to either die or suffer in pain. We have so many hospitals not equipped with the basic thing that hospitals should have. We have the doctors not being paid what they should be paid, and that is why we have so many of them leaving the country in droves. Not just doctors, nurses leaving the country in droves and leaving the hospitals empty with just very few doctors to attending to patients. And what does that do? It means that for a doctor, if a doctor is meant to see let's say 5 or 10 patients in a day, because of the reduced number of doctors we have in the country, we have a doctor seeing up to 20 to 30 persons. How do you expect that doctor to maybe take an entire time to formally or basically look at the patient critically to ascertain what is wrong with the person? Because at the end of the day, they won't have their full attention on any patient because they're running out of time. They're working with time, and they're human beings at the end of the day. What should be done? So instead of Femi Adesina praising the elongation of the late president, the late ex-president, to foreign hospitals intervention, I think what we should be saying is how can we better boost our healthcare system? Let's not even talk about how much that was spent to go get the remains of the late ex-president back to the country. If we have better health system and he was taking his treatment here, that money that was spent would have been saved for something else. All right. So how can we cannot continue to be saying this all the time, and at the end of the day, nothing is being done. When budgets are presented, you see a mega amount allocated for health, allocated for education. These are drivers of the economy, and yet little or nothing is left for them, for the health system. We cannot continue to do this. We really need our leaders to stand up and do the right thing. We should have leaders not going for health tourism in other countries that have already established health system for themselves and their citizens. We cannot have our leaders continue to go seek for medical attention and neglecting the health system of their own country. It's really sad, and it's a shameful thing that we are facing in the country. All right, with that said, I'm going to open the phone lines for you to call and join the conversation. Yes, so feel free to call and join the conversation we're having this morning. Feel free to talk about any of the headlines I took this morning. All right, feel free to highlight any of them, and we'll discuss that. Remember that your voice matters, of course, to the show. So the phone line should be on the screen right about now. So feel free to call and discuss any headline that touches you, that you like to touch on. Feel free to do that this morning. So I'm open to taking your phone calls as they come in. Like I said, I apologize once again. My guest wasn't able to join me. We had some technical issues getting to him. But if he joins in the middle of the show, that would be wonderful. All right, with that, I'll just move over to taking your calls this morning as they come. All right, while I wait those calls, I also want us to look at when it comes to what I mentioned earlier regarding the insecurity in our country. We talked about, you remember some weeks last month precisely after the attack of the Benue, the massacre in Benue, Yelwata to be precise, the president asked that the state police should be, that a speedy should in fact be looked into speedily and be brought to fruition. I don't know if you've noticed, we've not heard anything since then. Nothing has been said about it. What's the latest? Where are we in the state policing? Nobody's talking to us. Let me take this caller. Hello, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for joining.
Is that Captain?
Yes, this is Captain Television.
Yes, I'm calling in respect of the situation we are having about our health condition.
Can you tell me your name and where you're calling from?
I'm calling from Makurdi. Peter is my name, calling from Makurdi.
Peter from Makurdi, you're welcome. Go ahead, Peter.
Yes. Instead of us to develop our health sector here, we keep on going abroad. And the money being spent is much. The most painful thing is that when we spend this money every year, starting from 1999 to date, we'll be commissioning specialist hospitals built by governors, built by federal government. Why is it difficult for them to attend these specialist hospitals being commissioned by them in this country? That is my question I want people to help us address. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter, for your contribution. Yeah, questions that needs to be answered. All right, still taking your calls. So as I was saying, it has become a thing in this country that issues comes up, and in the heat of the moment, things are done, things are said, but then again, after a while, nothing is heard about it. Not the progress, not what's being done. And that has been the situation of this country. And we must stand up to asking questions. We need accountability to every statement. Hello, good morning. Okay, all right. Call me back when you're ready to talk to me. I'm still here taking your calls. So as I was saying, we need accountability, and we need to be asking for it. We cannot just sit down and allow things to either fetter or better still disappear or forgotten. It's as if each time we have situations, and then after a while we stop talking about it, and then another issue comes up, we talk about it, and then it goes away again. There are no solutions seen at the end of the day. Hello, good morning.
Beautiful morning to you, Ma. You are on to SMB calling from Lagos.
SMB, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Ma. Once again, my sincere condolences to Nigerians and the entire people of Katsina State and the whole African for the loss of our former president, the late head of state, a two-time electoral democratically elected President Muhammad Buhari. May his gentle soul rest in peace. You see, when it comes to issue of this nature, it was now you begin to receive, let me put it this way, confession from those who are works with him, and then some submission, and then, in fact, the conversation will continue. So the issue now is, it's left for the leaders to do the needful, because you will agree with me, yesterday, believe in me, whether you like him or you hate him, you must have to have the feeling of this devastating and it's shocking.
Exactly.
When you witness exactly what happens, that is the end of his journey. He has gone for journey of no return. What left is what he did. You understand? So, I sympathize with Mr. President. Honestly speaking, I also appreciate the federal government for giving Mr. President the sitting areas. When you look at the communication section from since morning up to around 6 o'clock, National Television Authority, we are giving us the transmission. That is part of communication. That's why we always talk about bridging the gap between communication, between the members through communication. There are so many gaps when it comes to government policy and activities. So, believe in me, it's a lesson to the successors to look at how to do what I consider as a leadership recruitment mechanism, so as to give the Nigerians what they want. At least for God's sake. We have all what it takes to have the potential. Look at our health issues, look at the education access, look at the infrastructure, and so on and so forth. We are down while we have everything. We have all what it takes. So please, I am appealing on our leaders, the policy makers, to do the needful so that Nigerians at least will benefit from the dividend of democracy that we are into. I always made mention that we are not expecting the international community to come and rebuild our nations. For God's sake, up till today, you had somebody crying for 3,000 naira for medical. For medical issue, 4,000. When you are hearing our local radios and local television, you'll be hearing these kind of issues. People are crying for 3,000 naira, 5,000, 6,000 naira for health matters. While other people are traveling abroad. You will be hearing people crying for school fees, tuition fees, and so on and so forth. While other people are traveling their children abroad schooling. While we have all what it takes, we have the potential, we have everything, we have the manpower. when you do the political comparative analysis with China, you will see that they use their manpower to get what they want. They use the science and the technology, innovation to reach where they are today. Today they are competing with the US. Aren't we do the same? We have all what it takes, please. I am appealing on our leaders, at least to put the country in their mind. Patriotism is the best. Thank you very much. I wish you all the best.
Thank you, SMB, for your contribution. I do appreciate it. And you raised some quite laudable points there regarding our health, which I mentioned earlier. Yes, it's all bad that you go to certain hospitals, certain general hospitals, government hospitals, and you'll be asked to go buy gloves. They do not have gloves. Syringes, they do not have syringes. Cotton wool. As a patient, you'll be asked to go buy those items because the hospitals do not have them. That is how bad it is. Hello, Hakeem. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Captain TV.
Good morning.
Thank you very much. Let me first and foremost, like the other speaker just said, wish President Muhammadu Buhari a peaceful rest in his grave. We are all human beings. No matter, it doesn't matter whatever angle anybody think about a party leader. We are human beings. We are bound to die one day. So may his soul rest in peace. President Muhammadu Buhari, like I always say on this Captain TV, himself, I have belief that he's a very worthy human being. But I criticize his administration. It doesn't matter because he has died now. I always say this. It might not be his intention, but people, handlers, you understand. But let's put this aside. Everything remains with God. God knows knows our heart and knows what we're. But I believe President Muhammadu Buhari was a true believer. So putting that aside, I heard you were talking about issue of some political parties that are coming up. Same game every time. Same way the APC came to us. Up to now, Nigeria is still suffering. So they are promising that by the time they got in, they come in, that the issue of price, they will reduce it drastically, and that issue of hunger and everything will go. I'm so sorry. I'm not saying our leaders are telling lies, but it seems like lies. Look, this thing is pure. It's clear. You do not bring the methodology, how you are going to adopt, and what are you going to do. These are things that we need. All you see there when they go to campaign is they dance. They will tell you that they will turn you to a billionaire overnight. All these things should be a history. You understand? Nigeria should be wise. And now you did mention about Aliko Dangote. I always pray for that human being. I pray for him not because he's a Muslim like myself. I pray for him not because he's just a man or something like that. He might be a bad person before any other person, but for the fact that he's investing in Nigeria, no matter how you hate him, he's solving one aspect of the problem of the country. No matter how he's enriching himself with the country, he's still solving problems with, you understand? So the so-called leaders that we have in other political parties, even the so-called ADC itself, why can't they just abandon this issue of pursuing political position? They are so rich, thinkingly rich. Why can't they follow the pace of Aliko Dangote and all of them establish businesses in Nigeria? We can do it. But all they do, easy money, I'm sorry, politics in Nigeria is easy money because there is no any accountability. So these are the things. Look at the hospitals. Are you telling me if one doctor, so look, no matter how religious a doctor is, it will reach a point that if you think about the problem and sorrow at his own backyard, you as a patient that is treating, it could mistreat you. You understand? And misadminister drugs to you, not intentionally, but because of the frustration. I'm just giving issue of a doctor as an example.
Yeah.
The same thing applies applicable to the teaching aspect, applicable to the engineering aspect. That is why you see most of our buildings are collapsing today. So almost everything has just gone turned upside down. So my own take is the present administration, they should rise up, continue to do the best that they can, but the best that they can do is to look for a way to block all these leakages where there is corruption, because corruption is what, just like the former president said, if Nigeria cannot kill corruption, corruption will kill Nigeria, and he was not wrong. He was very, very right, because this issue of corruption all angle across, you understand, from the lower level to the upper level, this is what is killing the country. Because if you make a budget, and the essence of budget is for it to achieve a certain objective, is that not correct?
Yes.
So if you make a budget and so that are entrusted with that funds are not utilizing it in the right direction, so tell me where you're going to find development. The reason why you see all this little development in the European country is because they checkmate themselves. I'm not saying they are 100%, you understand, but they checkmate themselves properly, and that's why you see all this development over there. And I want to plead with our leaders, they should stop being subjective to all these foreign leaders. Let us come home. And all the political parties, the so-called rich people, politics is not the only way they can make money. They should come back to business. They should stop deceiving us, telling us different story on opposite different story. It's all lie. I'm so sorry. It's all lie. We have seen it. APC have come, they told us different things. So let this president, let them come and support him. And I'm advising Peter Obi to find himself to look for a political party and contest, because the contest under ADC, I'm not seeing him going anywhere. That is just the fact. But at the same time, let me end this here. At the same time, I'm a lover of our leaders, all our past leaders and the present one. I love all of them, but let them love us too. God bless Nigeria. Thank you.
Let them love us too, indeed. Thank you very much. I came from Lagos there. I like what he said last. He said he loves all our leaders, but they should love us back. That wouldn't be a bad idea if our leaders love us back, because if they do, they will be concerned about our welfare, how we're faring as citizens. It's like living in plenty. It's like, how do I put it? It's like being in want in plenty. It's a case of someone who is in water and is thirsty. That's our situation in this country. Because so many of those countries that are doing so well do not even have half of what we have when it comes to natural resources. They do not have half of what we have in this country, and yet the economy is booming. Health system is top-notch. Security, education, infrastructure. There's just so many things working for those countries, and so little working. I don't even know what's that one thing that is working in this country. Because everywhere you look at, there's a loophole somewhere. There's a loophole, especially in areas that should boost us as a nation. Areas that should boost us, there's always holes everywhere. We really are in dire need of a messiah in this country. Someone that will come and rescue us from the shackles we found ourselves. We really do need that one person, and that one person can actually make a change in this country that will reflect on anybody. One person can actually actualize it. We do hope that person comes sooner than later. Our phone lines are still open for you to call and join the conversation. Feel free to talk on any of the headlines I took this morning on the press. Okay, this is Captain Television if you're just joining us, and yes, we're live here in the nation's capital, Abuja. I've taken quite a few and analyzed quite a few headlines from insecurity to healthcare, and then to the Dangote, some of the things Dangote has said he's going to do with the gas, the liquefied gas in Nigeria, and him calling and some wealthy Nigerians to also invest in the country to boost the economy. We also saw the biggest headline that was everywhere, and that is the final right of the ex-president of the just immediate ex-president Muhammad Buhari's remains laid to rest yesterday, with so many people attending, both Nigerians and also have some other African leaders, paying tribute to this man who was fallen. So one of the callers said, at the end of the day, regardless of what you think about him, regardless of what you think he did to Nigerians, at the end of the day, in death, everything succumbs. Like, everything becomes meaningless. If you're maybe upset, angry, or not, or happy, at the end of the day, everything comes to nothingness in death. Like what Buba Galadima said. He said that he has forgiven him of all infractions. That was his words regarding the late president. It's really sad. And that's why, sometimes as humans, we should see that this life is just momentarily. And what is best to do in this life, but rather to leave a legacy that when you're no more, people will remember you for the good you've done. Generations will remember you for how you've turned things around in the country. I really wish that we, not just as leaders, but as humans, we should see that this life is fleeting and do our best to impact positively to all as we live momentarily in this world. Let me take another caller. Hello. Good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
You're welcome. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
I'm Daniel Shegun from Ondo State.
All right, Daniel, can you please walk away from your TV set? Okay, I said to walk away. I didn't say you should hang up. All right, coming back, please do well to walk away from your TV set or turn down the volume so we can have a better communication. If not, we'll be getting a howl back and it doesn't sound good at all. All right, so like I said, the phone lines are still open. Feel free to call and join the conversation we're having, and which is what we're looking at, how to better our nation in every aspect. You can talk about any of the headlines I took this morning. I took quite a lot of them, but most of them were actually tributes to the late president, to the late ex-president. Him being laid to rest yesterday in Daura, his hometown, with so many dignitaries attending to pay their last respect. In fact, the city of Abuja was emptied yesterday. If you walked around, you notice the National Assembly, like everywhere, was shut down to pay him, and he did got an honor for a last respect. Like he did. If people could see from the great beyond, I'm sure he'll be so happy. Hello. Good morning to you. Hello, you there?
Hello?
Good morning.
Good morning, Captain TV. Good morning.
Good morning. You're welcome.
Yes. I would like also to join other Nigerians to send my condolences to the people of Katsina State in particular.
Before you continue, can I know your name and where you're calling from?
Okay, sorry, my name is Ahmed Amshi. I'm calling from Yobe, the Material State.
Okay, Ahmed, you're welcome. Go ahead.
Yes, as I started, I want to also join my colleagues in the country to condole the people of Katsina State in particular, and to Mr. President and Nigerians as a whole on the date of the former President Muhammadu Buhari. May his gentle soul rest in perfect peace. To start from where you stop, nothing is working in this country, as you have rightly said. States like the states that are coming up, the younger states, you see their governors embarking on multi-billion projects where the people are complaining of lack of water, for example, healthcare problem. And the worst part of it, we are in the rainy season now. You see how water, the rain, is entering into people's houses. No drainage system. But you see this government embarking on millions of projects for just selfish interest. So I would like to draw their attention that projects like this one, at least, this is not the right time for doing them. Let's look at the minor problem people are suffering. For instance, the drainage I'm saying is an issue at the moment.
It
that
is.
government should look at it. Captain, thank you for what you have,
Thank you,
been
Ahmed.
doing. Yeah.
You're welcome. Enjoy the rest of your day. We do appreciate that. That is why I said, just tell me one thing that is working properly in this country. One thing we can say, yes, we're competing with another country, that yes, when it comes to this aspect of the nation, that we're doing fantastic. Tell me one thing. It's really sad. Now, what is even worse saddening is how people lose their life in this country for no just cause. Some people will just be lying in their homes, maybe thinking of what to eat, and death will just come meet them. Not because they deserve it, not because they put themselves in danger, but because we now live in a country where some persons will just stand up, carry arms, and feel that it is right for them to start killing people for no just cause. Just last month, we were still discussing the killings that happened in Benue State. The killings, I think just days apart, there was a killings in Plateau, and now again this morning we're hearing gunmen killing about 27, and it's possible that it's even more than that, with so many people injured as a result. So how are we going to continue to listen to news like this? We shake our head and say, oh, that's sad. This governor will come and condemn it. The president will condemn the killing. The chief of army staff will condemn. People will just be condemning killings, and then nothing is being done about it. We sit around and wait for another day. The killing happen again, and then we condemn it. I don't know. I really do not know. Let me take this call. Hello. Good morning to you. I lost a call. Call me back if you will. All right, call me back if you will. The phone lines are still displayed on the screen. Feel free to call and be part of the conversation. I would love to hear your thought on any of the headlines I took this morning, because yes, your voice matter. Our voice matter, and we must continue to speak if we want to see a better Nigeria, a renewed one, a new Nigeria where healthcare is at its top notch and delivered even to the grassroots, to the point that the primary healthcare systems have what they need. We're not even talking about primary healthcare. We're talking about bigger hospitals not even having what they need for treatment, to analyze, to diagnose, to treat. We don't have them. We have so many healthcare systems in fact, some of them are shadows of themselves. Nobody's there, nothing is there. And we live in a country that is so rich that, the other day I was analyzing that if we actually are harnessing what this country have, we'll probably not have any poor person in this country. Like, we just have people who are comfortable and those who are rich. But it's sad that the country is where it is today because of mismanagement, because of greed, because of the power. A lot of people are drunken with so much power that once they get in, they don't want to leave. They want to die there. In fact, when they do die, their family member continue. It becomes a circle. The killings in the north central, in the northeast, around the country, because it's not just these areas. We have insecurity in every part of the country. If you go to the south, there are insecurity is there. They have is as though every part of this country has a dynamic insecurity. You go to the south, it is there. South is there. You come to the north central, we talk about northeast. No place is safe in this country. No place is safe. No place is safe. And nothing is being done about it. Like I said, the state police was advocated by the president after the killing last month. But then again, I don't know if maybe it's me that I've not heard. I don't know. Have you heard anything again concerning it? I know that the president asked that the National Assembly speed up the process and make sure that it's actualized. But we're not hearing anything. And when it comes to things that will benefit the masses, it takes long for them to put the bill into law. But when it comes to things that, that won't really affect an ordinary Nigerian, the bill is passed speedily. All right. I just have 2 minutes on the clock to wrap up the program. I am not happy. In fact, every time you look at the headlines each day, there's no cheering news to see. There is none. It's just one sad story to another. And each day you think it's going to get better, it only get worse. I do hope that the Nigerian of our dream is achieved. And we all have to collectively work together. Just like the ADC, one of the spokespersons said that they want to ensure that they drastically reduce the price of petrol and banish hunger. We should also start asking the right question. It's one thing to ask question, it's one thing to ask, is another to actually ask the right question. We should ask the right question when these people come brandishing the promises of how they're going to make this country better. Do you shout hey and clap for them, or should you be asking them, how do you hope to do this? How? You want to eradicate poverty completely in the country. Tell us, how do you want to do it? We would like to hear you. You want to do that, you want to do this. Let us know how you intend. And for us electorate, we should be more focused on what are these people going to bring to the table and how do they intend to bring it than the money they're going to share. But some persons, most people attend campaign rallies just because of the money that will be shared at the campaign. So no matter how lofty your dreams are or your campaign promises are, nobody wants to hear it. They're only concerned about, will there be money shared at the end of the rally? That's what most Nigerians. So when we are praying for this country to be better, let us also know that that change begins with you and it begins with me. Yes, we must collectively work together. We cannot sit down and be complaining about leaders. We put them there. And how did you put that there? You weren't thinking. You were more concerned about the 3,000, the 2,000 you're going to get. And then you sell your vote and suffer for the next 4 years or 8 and sometimes. So let's be wise this time around and vote the right people that will really bring the change we desire in this country. And with that, we end the press today. I do hope you enjoyed and got some information you need as to what's happening in the country. And from what I've said, I think that's all there is to say. Let's indeed look forward to making sure we do our own quota as a people when it comes to the time to elect our leaders. Have a beautiful morning and do enjoy the rest of your day. Today, Wednesday, 16 July 2025. I am Princess Ekezie Okoli. Top of the morning once again.